So I've heard from the Labour Party over recent days and, in fact, weeks that you want to support the government in what it's doing. You want to reinforce public health messaging, all of which, we understand. But does it look, are you in danger of looking as if there is no opposition when it comes to deciding just how tough to be on this virus?
Well, we support the new restrictions on who we can meet and where and when. But there are three additional things that we believe the government should do to help get this virus under control. The first is ensuring we have a proper test, trace and isolate system. The government promised one that was world-beating. We would be happy with one that just functions right now because, frankly, the system is on the verge of collapse. Second, along with the restrictions on our movement package that was announced yesterday, we need a package of economic support. With businesses being told they have to close earlier, with new restrictions on when and where we can meet, an economic package is essential, and we've been calling for some months now for a flexible furlough scheme, something that the Bank of England governor also seems to be supporting. And third, we need local support for areas that are particularly badly affected. And the combination of those measures, along with the additional lockdown restrictions that the Prime Minister announced yesterday, I think stands a much higher chance of getting control of this virus again.
And so, Rachel, if the Chancellor is watching and he's trying to decide which bits of the economy he should continue to support with the follow-on scheme to the furlough after the end of October, where would you be drawing lines? Because this is going to be difficult, isn't it, to work out exactly which sectors of the economy have been most affected. Clearly, there are obvious parts, but then there will be others, supply chains to those hard-affected bits of the economy, for example. Where would you draw the lines?
Well, that's what we're calling on the government to make the system flexible, to support those businesses and jobs who particularly need the support. There are parts of the economy, for example, in performing arts, in hospitality and in aviation, where there's clearly a massive problem now with job losses and business failures. There are also particular parts of the country who are under greater lockdown rules that might need additional support. And we're urging the government to look at that and put in place a package of measures, because it is the wrong thing to pull the rug from under people's feet at this time when the virus is still prevalent in all of our communities, endemic in some of our poorest communities, and before the furlough scheme has been able to see through people during these difficult times.
How full is your constituency postbag or email inbox with business leaders, businesses in your constituency telling you that they are worried about going under? How much of a presence is that concern?
Well, about a year ago, I set up a small business group in my constituency, so I'm in regular touch with small businesses and larger businesses in my constituency. And many of them are very worried about the future and very worried about those who work for them in a whole range of industries. And that's why, one of the reasons why, I think it is so important that the Chancellor comes back with a package of measures, a flexible furlough scheme, to ensure that no more jobs and businesses are lost and is absolutely necessary. The government, by withdrawing this furlough scheme too soon, risks a further wave of job losses and business failures that this country can ill afford.
Rachel, when we went into this thing, it didn't seem terribly wise to pile on people, and especially small and medium-sized companies, with debt while they were earning no revenue. There was a lot of talk then about the possibility of future forgiveness. Could you foresee a Labour government instating a jubilee, a debt forgiveness?
I can understand why some businesses are calling for that. I think we have to see the situation that we're in next year. But what I absolutely do not want to see is banks coming in heavy-handed, trying to get back the money that has been loaned out. The government have got to ensure that that doesn't happen. And banks as well have got a responsibility. They were bailed out during the financial crisis. They've got a responsibility to support particularly our small businesses now. But the government need to assess the situation that we're in.
But state-backed coronavirus loans, do you think they could be forgiven?
I think we have to see the situation we are in next year. The longer that this virus persists and the longer it takes to get a vaccine, the more challenging it is going to be for businesses. So I'm not going to rule anything out, but I think that this isn't the right stage to make those decisions. We need to see what situation we're in next year. But it absolutely must not be the case that small businesses are asked to pay back money before they can do so. And banks and the government have got a responsibility to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Meanwhile, the UK dealing with Brexit negotiations, Rachel, or the future trading relationship, at least, across the Channel. Our colleagues have a story out this morning, Rachel, that talks about how the UK government is itself warning of a 7,000-truck-long queue or line in Kent in a reasonable worst-case scenario for the end of this year. Michael Gove urging traders to get ready for controls implemented by EU member states by the 1st of January. Paint a picture for us. How do you anticipate, and this isn't even in a no-deal situation, paint a picture for how you anticipate trade happening on the 1st of January?
Well, we need that free trade agreement with the European Union. It is in our national interest, and I believe it is in the national interest of every single country in the European Union. So I would urge the government here, but also our counterparts in the European Union, to stop the posturing and start negotiating seriously, because a shock to our economy on top of the pandemic and everything we're going through right now would be an awful thing to inflict upon British businesses and European businesses as well. So we need that deal. The government also need to put in the systems, the technology systems and many other things to ensure that businesses can be ready for whatever happens on the 1st of January. And the government today is saying businesses have got ready. Well, I would urge the government to get ready and ensure that the systems are in place. The government promised IT systems, they promised additional customs agents. Those things have not yet materialised, and that is putting huge pressure on businesses who are having to deal at the same time with the impacts of the coronavirus.